Ray Dalio has reportedly warned investors about global changes over the past year, and he is backing up his words with concrete actions. In just a few moments, we'll take a look at the portfolio of Bridgewater, the world's largest hedge fund. We'll go through the biggest investments and recent deals to understand how the billionaire investors team, referred to as the Steve Jobs of investing, operates. Watch to the end to get ready for the upcoming changes and find lots of fresh investment ideas. To keep the coming massive events from taking you by storm, let's look at what exactly is going on in the world of money and power right now. And here are some highlights from Ray Dalio's film, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order, which explores the transition of dominance from the US to the fast-growing superpower state of China. Having the world reserve currency inevitably leads to borrowing excessively and contributes to the country building up large debts with foreign lenders. While this boosts the spending power over the short term, it weakens the country's financial health and weakens the currency over the long term. Inevitably, the cost of maintaining and defending an empire becomes greater than the revenue it brings in, so having an empire becomes unprofitable. Isn't that what we're witnessing now? The US has the largest national debt in the world. To pay back such an astronomical amount, every American family would have to pay more than $230,000. How realistic do you think that is? Old Ray keeps warning about it.
In my opinion, we are at the beginning of a very classic late big cycle debt crisis, when the supply-demand gap, when you're producing too much debt, and you have also a shortage of buyers.
In this cycle, the richer countries eventually get deeper into debt by borrowing from the poorer countries that save more. But there are fewer and fewer people willing to buy American T-bonds.
What's happening now, as we have to sell all this debt, is we then do have enough buyers. There are changes now in terms of the quantities in the world that are being held by large investors around the world that have lost money in these treasury bonds and so on.
Typically, the decline comes gradually and then very suddenly. When debts become very large and there is an economic downturn and the empire can no longer borrow the money necessary to repay its debts, the financial bubble bursts. This creates great domestic hardships and forces the country to choose between defaulting on its debts or printing a lot of new money. It always chooses to print a lot of new money, at first gradually and eventually massively. That devalues the currency and raises inflation. This is all exactly what is happening now. In the last 10 years, the states have printed as much money as they did in the 50 years before that. Between defaulting and printing new money, the current government has chosen the second option once again. The Fed has not yet restrained the inflation caused by the out-of-control money printing during the pandemic, yet now the printing press will be turned on again. The US economy and its currency are in for a rough ride.
If we continue down this path, in terms of what's likely over the next 5 and 10 years, then you reach the point that balancing act becomes very difficult.
Please like this video and subscribe to this channel if we have helped you to figure out what kind of changes in the world are currently underway. Unfortunately, they are irreversible, which means we need to get ready and take advantage of the ongoing changes so that we don't lose, at the very least. On that, next. Now, let's look at the particular actions Ray and his fund are taking during this period of turbulence. The first thing that catches your eye is the number of assets in Bridgewater's portfolio. These guys are aware of the importance of diversifying their investments. It does not make much sense to look at all assets, so let's focus on the top 10 biggest positions. In the very first place, with the largest share in the portfolio, you can see the exchange-traded fund with assets from developing markets. Looking even deeper into the structure of this fund, you will see that of the top 10 largest positions, there are 5 with shares of Chinese companies. The first position with the largest stake is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturer Company. As you might be aware, there are many disputes and confrontations over the belonging of Taiwan at the moment. But in terms of international law, Taiwan is still one of China's provinces. In third place is Tencent, one of China's largest corporations. In fifth place is Jack Ma's well-known Alibaba Group. In sixth place is Meituan, a Chinese internet company. China Construction Bank, one of China's largest banks. rounds up the top 10. Once again, the Chinese-dominated ETF takes the top spot in a portfolio of the world's largest hedge fund. One thing you can also see when you analyze the portfolio is that funds are starting to flow from US to Chinese companies. At the same time as Bridgewater is increasing its stake in emerging countries' companies, it is also decreasing its stake in funds that are focused on the US market. The positions of the IVV and SPI funds were reduced by 11 and 10% respectively, and these index funds include stocks of companies from the US S&P 500 index. It is also noteworthy that 8 of the top 10 assets were cut. Only 2 assets have seen an increase in positions. These assets were emerging market funds and Chinese company stocks in particular, as well as Johnson & Johnson, which is traditionally classified as a safe haven asset. This is an asset class that is expected to retain its value in times of economic downturn. Here are some of the conclusions that can be drawn. Ray Dalio has been trying to make the point for quite some time that irreversible processes of resource and power redistribution have been set in motion in the world, and the main actors in this party are the 2 superpowers, the US and China. The billionaire and his fund back up their assumptions with concrete actions in their investments. Analyzing Bridgewater's portfolio, it can clearly be seen that interest in emerging markets, particularly China, has begun to outweigh the interest in investing in US companies, whose share of the portfolio has been reduced. Write in the comments whether you agree with Ray Dalio's vision and strategy, and be sure to watch this video if you keep your savings in dollars. Good luck with your investments. See you in the next videos.